Hi, I'm Bob LaRosa. Welcome to Fix My Hog. Today we're going to take a look at putting in Jim's Fat 5 Overdrive transmission. Although this is not a direct replacement for your Softail Dyna or FL transmission case, Jim's is billed it as a custom application. Simple reason being, Jim's Fat 5 Overdrive trapdoor is 560 thousandths thicker on the right side of the motorcycle. Everything else remains dimensionally correct. What you'll have to address when you're done installing this Jim's transmission, the complete assembly, you'll have to address any components that lie to the outside of the transmission clutch cover on the right side of the motorcycle, the cover that the cable enters into. You will have 560 thousandths more hanging out the right side of the motorcycle. When it comes to strong, this is it. This Jim's Fat 5 Overdrive transmission set the standard for strength. Gears are typically 18 to 53% wider, depending on the load that they have to carry in usage. The ratios, first gear is a nice close ratio of 2.91 as opposed to 3.21 in a stock transmission. The reason they're able to make the gears wider and stronger is Jim's shifter ring technology. It pretty much changed the industry as far as the shifter assemblies on the shafts. In this day and age, everyone is upgrading engines. It's pretty much the norm nowadays to find Harley-Davidson engines that are into the 3-digit range. 120, 131, and 135 inch. This basically doubles the stock horsepower. If it's 69 horsepower from the factory, roughly, we're going to be into double that. You're going to use a higher torque clutch assembly. You're going to use a bigger, stickier rear tire. What is the weak link in between? The transmission. Not only the bearings, the shafts, but the gears. This transmission from Jim's has resolved that issue completely. Again, I'm going to show how to install this. It is not listed as a direct bolt-in application. There is, and again, anytime you address something on your motorcycle that's this in-depth, you have to be aware there is a little customization factor involved. Use your factory service manual. Make sure you review the instructions supplied by Jim's Manufacturing. They are very thorough. If you're not comfortable doing this procedure, don't do it. Don't get yourself in trouble where a transmission can lock up or destroy your motorcycle because you did something wrong. This particular set, this transmission case set that we have, is going into our 2005 Dyna. You're going to remove the fork retention rod allocation in the stock case. Again, I can't stress enough how strong this gearbox is. You need to use the correct fluid, but other than that, it's nearly indestructible. Big wide gears, and once I get the stock gearbox out of this Dyna, I'm going to put them side by side. You'll see a noticeable difference between width and actually the position of the gears on the shafts. Jim's was creative enough to hide a pair of gears inside the trapdoor. Typically, a stock Harley 5-speed transmission, 5th gear is your 1-to-1 ratio, what they consider an overdrive. On this Jim's setup, 4th gear is a 1-to-1 ratio. 5th gear drops to a 0.886 ratio, making it a true 5-speed, but also a true overdrive. First thing we're going to do, I want to review just a quick look at what you'll need for specialty tools. You'll be able to take the motorcycle apart, per the service manual, up to a certain point. Again, as with any procedure, work it out ahead, work it in your head before you take something apart. Make sure you have every specialty tool. This is a pretty arduous process. You definitely have to do things correctly. When you're assembling anything, Keep things spinning. If anything seems to bind, stop and address it then. Don't wait until everything's together and find out things aren't working correctly. To my left here, you'll see there is a handful of Jim's manufacturing tools that are needed to remove and install the stock gearbox and install Jim's Fat 5 Overdrive. Same tools are typically used to remove a stock transmission and install a stock transmission. Same tools will be used for the Fat 5 Overdrive upgrade. I'm not going to go through each tool specifically, but you can see there is a number of tools. I will show you how to use each one as we go through the removal and installation process. To my right, you can see the Jim's kit comes complete, including gaskets for the transmission. You will need, and I myself use James gaskets, outer primary, inner primary seals. That does not come with the transmission kit. But the Jim's kit, from instructions to dipstick to shifter, seals, a new transmission sprocket drive nut, bearings, main drive gear. Obviously, you cannot use the stock 5-speed drive gear. Why would you? This gear, again, depending on its working condition within the transmission, depending on the load it carries, the Jim's gears are between 18 and 53% wider than the factory 5-speed. Shift fork, shift drum, all new, nice chrome hardware. The transmission itself, the trap door, is a nice chromed billet piece. Same thing with the clutch end cover. Make sure you work carefully. You don't want to disturb the chrome finish. You want it to be perfect when you're done with the installation. First thing we're going to do, we'll take a look at the dyna up on the lift. Obviously, I keep painted components covered, even though I'm working down low. I want to make sure all painted areas are covered. That way there, if a snap ring or something happens to get away from me, it doesn't chip the paint. I have removed the outer, the inner, the complete compensating sprocket and clutch assembly. When I remove the inner, I remove the starter motor. Obviously, I drained the primary before I removed any of that. All of those components will go back into place. Same thing on the right side of the motorcycle. I removed the exhaust system. You're going to encounter a number of different styles of exhausts. The key is to remember we have a little more than a ½ inch wider. So you will have to modify your exhaust mounting bracket or where the exhaust pipes mount to the bracket when you reassemble the exhaust with the Jim's Fat 5 Overdrive in the transmission case. Now that I've laid out the groundwork as to what my intentions are to install the Jim's Fat 5 Overdrive transmission, it's time to get to work.